She said it like it was nothing, just a business trip. 3 days, a quick flight, a hotel full of coworkers, meetings that would run long, followed by room service and lights out. That was the story Jenna told me Tuesday morning as she kissed me goodbye at the door. Suitcase wheels bumping down the front steps like the start of some routine work obligation. She even rolled her eyes when I asked if she needed help carrying her bag, told me to relax and enjoy the quiet house. I smiled, said I'd miss her, and I meant it. But something stayed. A chill. A pressure behind my ribs. I couldn't shake it. By Wednesday evening it had settled like a weight on my chest. I poured a drink. Stared at my phone. Almost called. Instead, I remembered something stupid. The hotel she mentioned, the one she always books, has a live webcam feed from its rooftop restaurant. Touristy gimmick. I remembered it because we laughed about it once, watching strangers clink glasses over candlelight and city views. On impulse, I opened the site. And there she was, Jenna, not in a pantsuit, not sipping wine alone, but wearing that red dress, the one she used to save for anniversary dinners. Her lips glossed, eyes bright, laughing in a way I hadn't seen in months. Her fingers grazed his wrist. His hand never left hers. I didn't call, didn't text. I booked a reservation. 30 minutes later, I walked into that same restaurant. Tailored, steady, no anger in my breath. Just focus. I didn't need a confrontation. I needed a moment. From 2 tables over, I watched her. She didn't see me. Of course not. She wasn't looking for the truth tonight. I ordered her favorite wine. Had it sent to her table with a note. Just a single line. From the husband you forgot about. Cheers. The glass reached them. She froze. He looked confused. She scanned the room like a hunted thing, her smile cracking, her posture folding. And that's when I stood. Calm. Composed. I walked to their table. No shouting, no scene, just one. Perfect sentence. Dinner for one. She's already full of lies. It didn't begin with a full-blown gut instinct. It never does. Suspicion creeps in quietly, like a whisper you're not sure you heard. For Marcus, it started with the silence. Jenna had been traveling more frequently over the past year. Business conferences, industry mixers, strategy offsites with buzzword-heavy agendas and vague itineraries. At first, he took it at face value. She was a rising marketing exec, sharp and ambitious. And he'd always respected her drive. They'd built their careers side by side. She had her path, he had his. They met in the middle when it mattered. Until lately, it mattered less often. 2 weeks before the confrontation, Jenna's conference came up during a casual dinner. It was meant to be background noise in the conversation. Just another date on the calendar. But Marcus noticed the way she mentioned it. Offhandedly, without eye contact. She sipped her wine as she spoke, scanning her phone. When he asked where the conference was, she gave a city but not a venue. When he asked which team was going, she deflected with, "Oh, the usual crew." That night, after she went to bed early claiming jet lag before even flying, Marcus stayed up and started noticing the pattern. The dates were never random. The trips always landed around weekends, stretching just enough to feel suspicious. The calls from the hotel room came at strange hours, often with muted backgrounds. No more FaceTimes, no room tours, no casual shots of the city like she used to send. Still, he said nothing. Marcus wasn't the kind of man to accuse without evidence. He respected precision, not paranoia. But he also believed in patterns, and Jenna had changed. The second breadcrumb came in the form of a calendar invite. Jenna had once shared access to her work calendar, leftover from when they tried to sync weekend plans. She probably forgot. One idle Thursday, Marcus checked it out of habit, hoping to schedule a quick dinner before she flew out. The calendar was blocked off for a leadership forum at a hotel downtown. Simple enough. Except he knew that hotel well. It wasn't the kind you booked for professional development. It was a romantic hotel, curated for ambiance. Its rooftop restaurant had a reputation for being the kind of place where couples proposed, not where executives strategized over PowerPoint decks. Marcus didn't jump to conclusions. He took a walk, thought about it, slept on it. And the next morning, without a word to Jenna, he opened the hotel's website and found the public webcam. He didn't expect anything. But there she was. It was around 6:45 p.m. The golden hour light spilled through the camera like something from a magazine ad. Jenna was laughing in a way Marcus hadn't seen in over a year. Her smile looked genuine. Too genuine. And the man across from her wasn't someone Marcus recognized. Not a coworker. Not a friend of the company. This wasn't networking. It was personal. It was intimate. And it cut deeper because she looked happy. That was the moment suspicion became certainty. But Marcus didn't rage. He didn't break anything or confront her. Instead, he sat in silence, watching the footage for 5 more minutes. He noted their body language. Her hand grazed the man's forearm. He leaned closer, lips moving softly, like they were swapping secrets. Her phone stayed upside down on the table. She wasn't hiding just from Marcus. She was completely immersed in the lie. That's when he made the reservation. He used a fake name, picked a time just late enough that he'd arrive when the second course was hitting the table. He selected a quiet corner where he could watch without being seen. When he walked into that restaurant, Marcus Lane wasn't just a husband anymore. He was an executioner with perfect timing. And by then, the suspicion didn't need confirmation. It needed closure. Marcus didn't believe in chaos, not even when the world gave him every reason to fall. Apart, he believed in structure, in symmetry, especially when it came to justice. The night after he confirmed the affair, Marcus sat at the kitchen table alone, hands wrapped around a cooling cup of black coffee. The house was silent, but his mind was orchestrating something loud. Not in volume, no shouting, no scenes, but in consequence. He didn't want revenge in the way people usually meant it. He wanted the truth to do the damage for him. No need for a raised voice, when a whisper could ruin someone more completely. He started with the reservation. The same restaurant, same night, booked under a different name. Leon Barrett. A name bland enough to pass under the radar, but unique enough not to raise flags. He selected the time, 7:30 p.m. He estimated Jenna and her affair partner would already be midway through their meal. That gave him just enough time to observe, to study the distance between them, to let the illusion bloom before cutting it off at the stem. Next came the drink. He remembered Jenna's favorite wine, Merlot, not too dry, with a smooth finish. The same bottle they once shared on their 10th anniversary. The night she whispered that forever felt easy. That wine now became a weapon, elegant in presentation, bitter in intent. He called the restaurant, spoke to the sommelier directly, and arranged everything. A single glass to be delivered to her table, along with a folded note, handwritten, sealed in a cream envelope. The message was simple, not even a sentence really. Just, from the husband you forgot about? Cheers. No anger, no accusation. Just a reminder that the lie hadn't stayed hidden. But Marcus didn't stop there. He wanted to make sure the timing was perfect. Not too soon, not too late. He planned to arrive 10 minutes before his reservation, dressed in the same tailored navy suit he wore the day he proposed to her. A subtle nod to the past she discarded so easily. His goal wasn't to make a scene, it was to create a moment so precise it could never be undone. He also knew how Jenna reacted under pressure. She was a master of deflection in private, but in public, with her world watching, that was different. Her charm didn't work the same when the room went quiet and eyes turned. He imagined the moment she'd open the note, her eyes darting, the smile slipping. Brandon, the man she was with, looking confused, then suspicious, then furious. Not at Marcus, but at her. That was the brilliance of the plan. She'd be exposed. Not in some messy domestic argument, but in real time, in a room where even the waiters would feel the tension shift. Marcus didn't just want her to be caught. He wanted her to feel every second of it. The way he'd felt the hollow in his chest when he watched her through that webcam. He wasn't walking into a restaurant. He was walking into the final act of her illusion. The restaurant buzzed softly with the low hum of evening elegance. Clinking glasses, polite laughter, the occasional pop of a champagne cork. Couples leaned across linen-draped tables, speaking in hushed tones that hinted at secrets and seduction. It was the kind of place designed to feel safe, exclusive, invisible to the chaos of the world outside. Perfect, Marcus thought, as he stepped through the doors. He was 30 minutes early. He wanted a view of the stage before the actors even knew they were performing. The hostess greeted him with professional warmth, glancing at the name on the reservation, Leon Barrett. He nodded once, politely, and requested a table by the far window. From there he could see the soft candlelit pool where Jenna sat 2 tables away, her silhouette framed in the amber glow of hanging lights. She hadn't noticed him. Of course not. She was too wrapped in the illusion, too focused on Brandon, who leaned in with the kind of body language that reeked of practiced seduction. Jenna was laughing, leaning forward, one hand grazing Brandon's wrist as she whispered something meant to stay private. Marcus studied her posture, the way her free hand hovered just near her glass, fingers tapping unconsciously. She always did that when she was trying to charm someone. Good, he thought. Let her charm. Let the illusion bloom fully before it breaks. He waited 10 minutes. Just enough for their entrees to arrive, for the energy between them to tighten. Then he gave the waiter the signal, a subtle lift of 2 fingers, and nodded toward Jenna's table. The glass of Merlot arrived at her side first. She paused, puzzled. The waiter leaned in and placed the cream-colored envelope beside the glass. Jenna's eyes narrowed slightly. She touched the rim of the glass, then unfolded the note. Marcus didn't need to see her face to know when she read it. It was in the way her shoulders stiffened, the way her spine straightened too fast, too suddenly. She looked up, scanning the room with a kind of frantic elegance, trying to stay composed even as panic bled into her features. Her smile died in slow motion, and Marcus watched the moment her mask cracked. Brandon leaned in, confused, mouthing something. "What's wrong?" Jenna didn't answer. She was too busy scanning faces. That's when she saw him. Marcus didn't smile. He didn't look away. He stood up slowly, buttoning his jacket, and walked toward their table like a man arriving late to a meeting he already controlled. He stopped just short, his eyes locked on hers. "You lied for this?" he asked, his voice calm, almost conversational. Then he turned to the waiter who was lingering awkwardly nearby. "Cancel her tab," Marcus said. "She can expense it to her story." Brandon started to speak, but Marcus had already turned. He didn't wait for reactions. He didn't look back. He walked out with the same composed stride he entered with, his dignity intact, his silence louder than any accusation. Behind him, the illusion burned. Jenna didn't move right away. The note still lay on the table, its edges curled slightly from the condensation of the wineglass. Beside it, Brandon had finally picked it up and read it, his lips pressing into a flat, unimpressed line as comprehension dawned. He looked at her, and for a moment, just a moment, he realized he hadn't been the only one being deceived. "Your husband?" he asked, voice low, almost embarrassed. Not for her, but for himself. Jenna didn't answer. Her eyes were still locked on the space where Marcus had stood, a man who walked in like the truth, and walked out like a verdict. She looked pale, her hand trembling as she reached for the glass of wine, but it wasn't to drink. She just needed something to do. Something to ground her in a moment that had slipped completely out of her control. The restaurant wasn't silent, but the atmosphere had shifted. Conversations resumed, but more hushed now, peppered with glances toward their table. The performance had ended, and everyone had seen her final scene. Brandon stood, adjusted his cufflinks. "You should have told me," he muttered, not with rage, but with a note of detachment. He was already stepping away from her emotionally, the same way she'd stepped away from Marcus months ago. Clean, calculated, and without apology. Jenna didn't chase him. There was no point. She sat alone in the ambient glow of the place she thought was safe, surrounded by the echoes of a dinner that had become a reckoning. Her phone vibrated. She reached for it, still in a daze. One new email. The subject line hit her harder than Marcus's final line ever could. "Receipt for your lies." It wasn't signed, no greeting. Just a cold forward. A message to her boss, copied to Marcus's attorney, with attachments, photos, screenshots, a copy of her fake itinerary for the conference. Her email headers matched to hotel bookings that didn't align. It wasn't dramatic. It was devastating because it was thorough. There was no reply button. The silence was absolute. Jenna placed the phone face down, staring blankly at her untouched plate. The wine, once a romantic symbol, now tasted like smoke in the back of her throat. She had once believed that the distance between truth and exposure was wide enough to dance in. Marcus had narrowed that gap with one decisive move. Across town, Marcus sat in his study, the last of his bags packed at his feet. The lawyer would handle the details. The email was sent. The silence was permanent. He didn't need to say another word. He poured himself a drink, not wine but something sharper, and looked out the window. No music played. No celebration followed. Just peace, long overdue. Behind him the door clicked shut. Ahead of him the next chapter waited. And behind Jenna, all that remained was the echo of 5 words she would never forget. Dinner for one. She's already full of lies.